See, are we live? Oh, we are live. What is going on, Jennifer Lacey?
Good morning. I mean, really early morning for you, but good morning.
Yeah, it is. What time is it? It's 4 a.m. I'm getting harassing texts. Looks like they caught somebody.
What?
Yeah,
Oh,
good.
wonder if they got his stash, if he put it like somewhere where they could find it.
Y'all need to hold on to him, buddy, because we need to. I got some questions to ask that guy. So we got Miss Amy Campbell.
Good morning, Amy. We haven't seen you in a while.
Oh my goodness, it has been a while.
Yes.
Do I sound like super sultry with my inside voice?
Why do you ask that, Jesse?
Well, because I'm on my balcony in
Okay.
Honolulu in my fishnets. Watch out.
It's like Will Sullivan's going to be like all about it. He's going to be like hashtagging you and everything. I'm like, no fishnets.
Yeah. So I'm trying to like not get too loud because I don't.
Oh, because you have people around you that like may not be all into your conversation at 4 a.m. in the morning.
There's a possibility. See who we got. So Adam Hoot says, "Good morning, my awesome people." He says the fishnets are here.
Yes.
Actually, Jen, you didn't know this, but Adam pitched in for the fishnets.
Adam.
Yes.
Oh, we had an agreement.
So it's his fault. Then we got
Bruce. Thank you. Bruce got my back.
Hold on, Bruce. Like, let me show you how cool this is.
Oh no.
It's a fishnet hoodie, baby. Like, is it get any better than that?
Thank you, Bruce. I appreciate you giving me some support here.
So, good morning, everybody. Let us know where you're calling in from. Of course, first timers, drop a blue heart in the chat so we can love on you, so the No BS tribe can connect and all this stuff. And just giving y'all a heads up, I am in Hawaii. It is 4:02 a.m. And because I love y'all so much and I'm afraid of Jennifer, I made sure I was going to be on the live stream. So let us know where you're coming in from, because we're going to have an interesting conversation today, aren't we, Jen?
We are. Oh. But first, I want to say he's also in Hawaii at the hotel outside. There's tons of opportunities here for some internet issues. So hopefully everything goes well. And if he jumps off, I got Adam on the backup. So we're good.
And Adam's got the fishnets. Like, Adam's fishnet is more provocative than my fishnet here. Let's see. Who's saying hi?
Got some people. Come
Justin coming in from Charlotte.
Good morning.
Oh, man. Good morning. George Hunt coming in. He says, good morning, everybody.
Yes.
LinkedIn user. So I think I know who the LinkedIn user is now. I think it's Tanya. I'm going to double check, but I'm pretty sure it's Tanya.
Yes, the fishnets are real, unfortunately.
Yeah, they're so awesome. I know y'all love them. So Kirby's still like the original, but I think she's handed the torch over to Tanya.
But Amy's here, so Amy can help LinkedIn user just change her settings.
Yeah, I don't know that's an option for her, but it's still good. At least I know who I'm talking about.
Truth.
Miss Yesenia, how you doing,
Miss Buddy?
What's that?
Oh, good morning, Yesenia. Good morning. We haven't seen you in a while either.
I know. How you been, girl? I seen you sharing all the stuff. Like, for real. Yeah, it is Tanya. Tanya is the unknown. Hello, Tanya. Good morning.
Good morning, Tanya.
Buddy Brumley harassing
Good morning,
me.
buddy.
So he's got the Grinch in cuffs. Thank you for that, buddy. So we're going to be, hold on to him because I need to talk to that fool. He's got some stuff. Actually, we're planning on working a deal with him to do some like affiliate marketing. Yeah, because we're getting a lot of run there. Miss Janet, good morning, Janet. Oh man, this is awesome. I haven't seen Janet in a while.
We have a blue heart, so we have a new person.
So what are people supposed to do with the blue hearts, Jen?
So blue hearts, first of all, if you're first time user, you share blue heart. And those of you that are on, obviously, you know the blue heart means this is the first time they've ever been in this place with us. So give them some love, go like them, go connect with them, talk with them in the chat, but we want to bring them into this community. So thank you, Bradley, for jumping in this morning with us.
See, and Bradley says sharing the balcony vibe, which actually means he's got the fishnets on too.
I mean, I'm not sure that's what that means. I'm not sure.
Look, Tanya says guilty as charged. Amy, good morning, Miss Amy.
Yes, good
we're
morning.
so deep today. I'm loving it. Pete coming in from Canada. Uh,
What?
yeah, all
Lots of
right.
love this morning. Whoop,
So we
whoop.
got folks coming in from the YouTube, from the LinkedIn, and I know we have some peeps on the Facebook that just
Nice.
haven't commented yet. So
Okay.
what's up, Facebook peeps?
Got lots of people up this
Oh
morning to see
man.
you.
Yes, it's the fishnets. I knew it
Uh,
was going to work.
okay,
Um,
we'll go with that.
so today,
Mhm.
should we like do special announcements or
Well, let's do that because we'll probably have to wrap with them too, just in case. So go. What you got?
okay? Well, did you listen to the second interview we had with Davis
With
Walker and
laying
Davis?
foundations?
Oh,
Yes.
oh man! So they
They're doing
released
a good
it.
job, like spacing it out and cut and getting some really good content.
Yes, yes. So we got to be interviewed by Walker and Davis with the Laying Foundations podcast. When y'all get a chance, check them out. They have like super amazing, mature, thoughtful, responsible guests like me and Jen.
Well, I was going to say that's what they do, and it's like the opposite of Jesse. So if you're into that, follow them. If you're not into that, follow Jesse.
Yeah. No, they do a great job. It was an awesome. And so I think Monday they're going to release the third Dealey.
Nice.
And then we have there was some kind of graffiti journaling thing going on. What's that about, Jen?
Well, we launched the reflection journal like this past between the last time we were together and now, which
Yeah,
you
we did.
completely did all your magic and somehow has learned to be this mogul of 1,000 things. But we like have this reflection journal out there that ties to the book, and Grinch has not got his hands on those yet, I don't think. So they are out there and available for us, and it's really just a journal that you're able to follow through and use the book and some of the content that we've written about, but you're able to like focus on specific people. And anyway, it's amazing.
Yes, and so I'm dropping a link in the chat because we set up you sign up, you get a free digital or PDF download of a portion of the journal, like a week's worth of journaling.
Nice.
So check it out, y'all. Go to debtbuilder.com/5S and you can get you a free download of the journal. So just a taste before you go spend some money, make sure you like it. Make sure it makes some sense.
Yes.
So it's been like super exciting. So let's go back to the chat. We got Thomas LeMay. Oh, Thomas, bro, I'm trying to finish number 5 collabo.
Well, you just dropped 4 though. You just dropped 4 this in the last couple of weeks.
Yes, number 4 is out. Number 5 I'm working on, but I'm having the script is not being nice to me right now. I'm not sure what it is. I think it's all of Thomas's sexiness is frying their servers back in California, wherever they are.
Kills it.
He totally does.
And when you leave there, first you come in and you think, I got this. I'm pretty smart. And you listen to Thomas talk, and I'm like, holy crap. Like, I just need to be around him so that I can like be smarter.
Exactly. Like Bradley says, no fishnets, not till it hits 40. So it's coming soon. That's a preview. Yesenia is on the road from Farney to Argyle. I'm guessing that's Dallas.
Yep.
Dallas speak.
Yes.
First drill team competition of her senior year. I like that. First. Amy is loving the fishnets.
Thank you, Amy.
We got Maria. She says, good morning. She saw the Grinch at our holiday work party.
Yes.
And Maria, thank you for the input that you offered on the reflection journal, because I don't know if you've noticed, but I did take into account all the feedback you provided. Look at that. I don't kiss on the mouth. Damn it. Amy, she takes every opportunity to be in the same room. Yes, of course. Oh, man, absolutely. Okay, so today we are going to be talking about the self-imposed expectations. Jen, this was something that I think you brought, that it was pretty serious at the time. Let us know, help the tribe understand where we're at with this.
So a couple episodes ago, we talked into performance reviews and performance evaluations and things like that. And that was we got a lot of feedback and a lot of contribution on the importance of them and what's discussed in those. And, and just pretty much how are we getting better and how are we growing and what are those, what is that? And sometimes it's missing. Sometimes those conversations don't get as vulnerable and things like that. So that was that topic. And then we had some after party conversations. And so some of my notes were that a lot of the conversations from our tribe on the show and also in the after party were about like the self-imposed expectations we put on ourselves that sometimes the people around us, one, aren't even aware of them, and two, don't expect them. And so because we're high performers and because we're people that change management, continuous improvement, all that stuff, that's our world we live in. I think sometimes we get so in that mode that we don't stop and really take assessment of what is actually being expected or asked of us. And I tied it to, for us, that the lean environment is overproduction. And one of the waste is overproduction on how we will sit there and do something longer, further, deeper, wider, because in our mind, that's what makes sense, but that's not what's expected.
So when you say we, are you talking about like you and I? We're talking about only lean people? We're talking about the tribe? Who does we?
Well, for me, it's kind of all of those because I feel like there's so much mix, but the people, I mean, in my mind, the people that we've surrounded ourselves with and that we continue to talk through that are trying to grow and are trying to get better and are trying to help our industry get better with people and how are we being kind and how are we making environments better and how are we making work easier? Like there's a lot of things that we just live. That's the mode that every time we approach something, we go in with that mode. Yet the expectation that was set on us or, hey, here's what I need. Sometimes it takes us longer or we're never at that perfect place where we're like ready to hand it off. And it's because of ourselves.
Yes. Oh, so we're going to go deep on this one. And so like speaking of great ideas that just release them into the world, Carol shares, Jesse and Jen, Steve and I are laying plans to carry the message. They're working on a breakfast in Ellington. No BS breakfast.
We love it. We love it.
Steve Martin says, first official No BS Tribe breakfast meetup in New England is going down right now. Nice. So Steve and Carol are having, that is so cool.
Yes.
Man, I love it. Jim says, Christmas party hangover. But the fishnets, baby, it's all about the fishnets.
Jim, you can't do that. You're just instigating. That's all you're doing.
Do it. Oh, you know what? So we need some help, y'all.
Okay.
If y'all know how Carol and Steve can post a selfie in the chat, I don't know how. Anybody, please help Carol out. If not, we have the No BS Tribe page or the No BS page.
So do a post, yes, and we can and then Adam can pull that in if we need to.
Yeah.
Yes.
Oh my God, this is so cool. And then we got Mr. Dwan who says hello.
Good morning.
What's up, Dwan? So thank you all for your comments. Keep them coming. DJ Hootie Hoots is in the background because my Wi-Fi is a little funky. So if I
not intentionally, Jesse, you're only allowed to do it if it happens unintentionally. Jesse, stop.
Sorry, I can't help it. It's the fishnets. The fishnets are making me do it. Oh man. So the self-imposed expectations. And so Jen, what I remember when you and I started touching on this subject, we were talking about you.
We always somehow come back to me.
Yeah. And the responsibility you have with your organization or just kind of the way you roll in general. And I think we touched on it on the pop-up. Like, I think delivering excellence or what I consider to be excellent is important, right? We don't have to, but a large contributor that's helped me get to where I'm at in life and contribute to the degree that I contribute is that I have a minimum expectation of myself in terms of what I'm going to deliver, what the quality, what the experience is going to be like. And it's a little bit more than the normal, right? Than the norm, than the average. And so that contributes to broadened expectations, more relationships, all the cool stuff. Fishnets, right? Like you got to keep bringing, elevate that game all the time. And that's good. But there's this point, there's this place where it can get unhealthy and start robbing us of our joy because we're spinning our wheels trying to deliver this perfect thing that nobody's even asked for. And you've touched on it. And so, what have you ever done that, Jen? And what did it look like when you were doing that?
So two things in my mind as you're talking. It's the balance of number one, wanting to continue to get better. So like that's that I mean it, that's where I live and that's where we want to be. We want to continue. We don't want to just be stagnant. We want to make sure we're, evolving and moving forward. And the other, I guess the other balance is for me is defining the expectation and what is done. And those are two different things. And for me, having to hone in on when someone asks for something or someone says, "Hey, Jennifer, we're thinking about this," my mind will go 1,000 different directions and it will be like 20 miles down the road. And oh my gosh, we can do this and we can do this. And that's because that's just how my brain works. And so I've had to be super intentional on when someone goes, "Jennifer, we're thinking about this," or what do you think we could do with this? I have to go, okay, like what is the expected outcome? And what are we trying to accomplish? And for me, that kind of like simmers me down a little bit because like, okay, let me get very clear expectations on where they are, because 99.9% of the time they are not where I am. And I will go and do a lot more work and put a lot more effort into something for a finished product that still may check the box, but it may be way more than what in their minds that they want. Because sometimes you have to start somewhere and then, okay, PDSCA and you're kind of evolving it, but I don't do well like getting that expected outcome. And so I'll just go and then, and then it keeps dragging on. And they just like, I just needed this. And so for me, with really honing in on just work, I have to be super clear when someone asks for something. Okay, so what is the expected outcome? So is this what you mean? And what is it you're trying to do? And what, and all that. And it helps me hone in and kind of keep me focused.
Okay. So it sounds, I mean, what you just described sounds like it's just a little bit of extra work.
But in the front end.
Okay.
Is that, maybe I need clarification on the question.
Yeah. I mean, it sounds like, okay, I didn't get clear definition on what the conditions of satisfaction are. And so I'm going to spend a little extra time trying to deliver this immaculate donut when all they wanted was a donut. So I just need to get clear. It doesn't sound like there's any emotional stress.
You're wrong.
Oh,
You're so wrong. The work is that's the easy part. That's just the like easy finished product. Here's what you have. But again, many of us don't just have one thing we're working on or we're responsible for. And oh, by the way, we have this whole other side of the fence that's like a family and our well-being and our self-care and all of that goes along with that work expectation. And so if I don't get clear on work, it'll bleed in and I'll push the boundaries of the things that I should be also taking care of because it's important to me. And so the clarification for me is I will work more hours than I need to. I will give more than what's expected because that's what I want to do. But when we self-impose those expectations on ourselves, we are adding all of that extra work and all that extra, whether it's stress or, okay, what about this? All the what ifs that can completely derail most of anything. When I have learned that people are happy with what I'm doing. And they're satisfied and they like, that my thoughts and my ideas, but also they are not 20 miles down the road. They are not all this pie in the sky. What about this? What about this? That this is what they're expecting. And like, it doesn't help me. It doesn't help me to live in this area of like, what ifs when I can be super clear and my brain is better.
And so when you're in that space, in that state, um, does anybody like, life is big. You got work, you got friends, you got no BS, you got family.
Hmm.
Does everybody get the appropriate treatment and attention and care?
No,
Uh,
no,
no.
no.
Oh,
And I'm more apt to jump and be a little more defensive and a little more like, let's say attacking, but like I get, I'm not nice because in my mind, like I'm prioritizing, and this is becoming a priority over things that like it shouldn't be. It shouldn't be a priority. It should. And I know many of us, our work, we spend most of our time at work. We spend most of our time with the people we work with. Work should not be our priority because we have like ourselves that we have to make sure that we are taken care of, and we have family that we are going to work for. But if we focus so much on the work part and our family suffers, then like are we doing it for the right reasons? And are we taking care of the things that we're on this earth to do?
so we're shortchanging somewhere.
Yes.
How about solutionizing? You do any solutionizing when you're in that state?
Well, yes. Okay. So now I got some questions for you. Yeah, I'm just going to say yes. I'm going to answer that question. Yes, absolutely. You start so you start trying to figure out solutions for things that you don't even need to be trying to figure out. So Jesse, you have a lot of experience with, again, in the trades, GC, a lot of places where you were high performing. You were doing things and you were being put out front and you were asked to do a lot of things. How did you attack that? How did you like treat that when it came to people having expectations of you?
Well, so one, I put in a lot of energy into minimizing people's expectations of me. Like I do a good job of hiding and deflecting and kind of distracting people with all my shortcomings and all the dumb stuff that I've done. So that's one of the things that I do. But that doesn't help me with my own expectations. Right? And so there's a thing, I guess for me, I can, if I see a gap that 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 bugs me, and I see, well, I guess to be more clear, I see a lot of things that bug me. I see a million things that need to be improved that I think would provide a better experience for other people, or have better outcomes. Like once you learn how to see it, you can't unsee it. So early on, I used to attack every problem. And the problem with that is you're finite, right? We have a finite
Mhm.
amount of time. I got to eat, I got to sleep, I got to do those things. And so then I learned to like get, oh yeah, the fishnets, yeah. So what I learned is, okay, if I'm going to pick a problem to work on, I used to get really frustrated with people because they wouldn't jump on board and be excited about the change, or they're like, whatever. It's like, oh, well, if you don't care about it, then any effort I put into it isn't going to have any impact. So I started figuring out, okay, we need to have agreement on the problem. And when I started learning how to do that, like, oh, okay, it bugs you, bugs the hell out of me. Let me do something about it. And so, for an example, uh, when I was at TD, I was responsible for gathering personnel, labor to staff all of our projects in San Antonio. And I started seeing, like, man, we keep getting cycling the same people. Um, I think everybody does this, is when you have like peak work, you start using temporary or staffing agencies to bring people in for a small period of time. And we would get the same people. And every time they came back, we're paying them a little bit more, and a little bit more, and a little bit more. But their skills weren't increasing.
Mhm.
And our competitors, we were like cannibalizing each other, competing for the same thing. And not, so that was happening. This is funny. And I was involved in some advisory councils, some CTE advisory councils in the 3 campuses. They were like the same thing. Like, we're graduating kids with an OSHA 10 certification, NCCER core curriculum. Like they were graduating some kids that I could put to work like right now, but they weren't finding work in the industry. And I said, this is dumb. Like we keep recycling these weenies. We need to be bringing in new people. So I went out, I said, hey, I got an idea. I'm going to do this. Anyways, my boss asked me to write a little white paper about what the idea was, what the target was, kind of high level what the plan is, so that he could use that and communicate that up so we could get the ball rolling. Well, I've never written a white paper, and it sounds like so damn fancy, right? So I spent days like making sure that, like, it wasn't a white paper, it was a white pamphlet. Like, it was multiple pages, had all kinds of information and like just like self-imposed expectation. I wanted this thing to be perfect, and I wanted whoever read it to say, yes, absolutely, let's do that right now. And that's not really the way things work. And so when I gave it to him, he's like, Jess, like, this is not what I'm looking for. I'm like, what? Like, the paper's white. Like, is that, like, do I get a check mark on that? He said, man. So he went through it. And he's like, these are the point. This is all it needs to have on it. The rest of the stuff, we don't need that. And so back to your point, I was upset, right? Because I'm like, man, I put all this damn time and effort into that. That's all you need. But he never asked for that. He was very clear. Give me a one pager with some bullet points. What's the target? What's it going to take? What do you think? And like, that's all he asked for. But I went and filled it in with all these other things, like my insecurities, or I don't know if you've ever, maybe the tribe, if y'all have ever experienced this, where you send an email or a communicated message and you spend a bunch of time thinking about the counter argument to any potential argument against that somebody could respond, and then you bam bash them in the face with that. That's what I did. And he's like, no, just give me this. And so that's kind of when I first saw, like, oh, I did that to myself. Yeah, I was pissed off at him, but I did that to myself. How do I stop or keep from doing that? Does that answer the question?
It does. And so I have a couple other things I want to feed. So number one, who defines the value of something in our world? Who defines the value?
So the customer. So the customer defines the value. So the customer, I just want to be clear, I'm not talking about the client. Right. The person that made the request.
Yes.
Or the person next in line. That is the customer. And they are the person who defines the value. Now, knowing that they define the value, because they are going to say, yes, it's good, or no, it's not good, keep working on it, doesn't necessarily mean that they're equipped to articulate what they want on the first pass. What do you think about that, Jennifer?
No, and so that was my next. I was leading, because we've talked about this before on uncommunicated expectations. And so sometimes in you and I and Adam and Kirby and Sean and Alicia, we've kind of talked through this about asking questions and not solutionizing. And so we've talked through some of that on one, uncommunicated expectations, and looking at it, not just going, you're not telling me what I need, but are we equipped to be able to ask questions, to continue to gather information, to hone in on what the expectation is.
Yes. And so that's the thing, right? The self-imposed expectations is really me filling in all the blanks of information that I did not acquire. Right? Adam says, who is they? That's the name of our monthly call. I'll get that back on the calendar, y'all. That's for January. And so what I mean is, like, filling in all the blanks. Like, there's questions that I have. Mm-hmm. The only person that has the answers to those questions is the requester, is the customer. So any attempt I try to answer their question, it's a 50-50 chance that I'm going to miss. The important part is that I'll waste precious energy that I could be focusing at home or on other stuff. And so one technique that I've used to help me manage my self-imposed expectations is that I have 3 criteria that I'm trying to meet. Is it actionable? Whatever I'm working on, is it actionable? Does it meet my understanding of the request? And am I proud of it? If it's yes, I'm ready to go. Now, what's important for that to work is I do that knowing, expecting them to come back with another cycle of, well, this isn't exactly what I meant. This is, I want more of this, less of that. Okay, good. Now, I also need to be clear that I'm not talking about when I get explicit clear direction. When I get explicit clear direction, that's what you're going to get.
Mhm.
And I'm like now in a space of kind of like creating, developing, bringing new ideas into the world. And so that's like hyper iteration. And so let's just get it close enough to what you think you said, so
Mhm.
that you can see it and say, oh, no, 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 let's tweak it back and forth. And that frees me from filling in all the blanks on stuff that I think's cool, but the person doesn't appreciate or can't appreciate because it's not what they're looking for.
And that is exactly why we're having this conversation. But I want to switch it a little bit and look at it from the other side. So when we, you, me, the tribe members ask somebody to do something, are we clear? Are we clear in the expectations? Because I have an example, and then I'm sure you have one too. But this past week, wrapping up the year, business planning stuff, like end of year presentations, and we just got back from being out of town doing those, and we went through the presentations, and at the end there was kind of some critiquing on, hey, these could be better, the slides could be better, the visuals, there was kind of some conversation, and one guy steps up and he goes, hey, I did exactly what you told me to do. You said one slide for accomplishments 2022, one slide for goals for 2023. I did exactly. Now, some of those slides had 20 bullets on it. And there's no way he could have presented all of that, but he made his point of, I did exactly what I was asked to do. And so from the person asking, are you clear? And are you, when you're asking something of someone, are you giving them something and then picking it apart because they didn't do what you asked? Like, to me, there's two sides to this, because most of us are in positions that we have to have those conversations with people, and we have people that do things for us or that are part of our groups, our teams and things. And so have you been on the other side where you've asked for something and then when you got it back, you're like, this is not what I was looking for?
Oh yes, this one seems silly, but this is like a real life example. So it was a hotel we were working on, and we had a few bathrooms that got roughed in, and the water line was below the ceiling. This is so awesome. And the guy, like, this was 100% genuine. I said, okay, room below the ceiling, next room below this. I said, okay, like, who's running the water on this floor? Let me see what they've got. So I look at their ISOs. They got the isometric drawing that shows the routing, and we had a practice of identifying the height of the bottom of the pipe.
Mm-hmm.
And so on the ISO, it said, this one water line, because it was the only one that went across like whatever space it was, as high as possible. That was the instruction. And then at the moment, I'm like, okay, the information's right. So I go find old boy. I say, hey man, what's going on? Like, you're below the ceiling. He's like, oh man, I didn't know that. I'm like, well, are you using your ISO? He's like, yeah, I got the ISO right here. I said, well, it says to run as high as possible. Like, how are you below the ceiling? And he said, well, all I have is a 6-foot ladder. I said, shit, okay. Like, he was not being sarcastic, right? And he was working and he was putting out the work. He was getting stuff done. He's in the zone. I'm sure he questioned it, like, this is kind of weird, but hey, he didn't have the tools to get it as high as possible. And high as possible, back to the point of, are we clear in our communication? That is relative.
It is.
When he said, I got a 6-foot ladder, like, well, no, yeah, that's as high as you could go. 9'10" to the bottom of the pipe is clear. And he clearly was focused on fulfilling the ask. The ask was busted. And so I'm like, okay, guys, from now on, like, no, we're giving hard numbers, bottom of pipe. Of course, some of the team members were like, well, that's stupid. He should have known. Like, yeah, everybody should have done something. But here we are. This is what we're going to do. Bottom of pipe, feet and inches, no more as high or as close or kind of, like, forget that. This is what we need to do.
Well, and in our industry, Jesse, I'm sure that's one example, that in our industry, how many times have you heard, well, that's what the plan said. That's what the spec said. Mm-hmm. And again, that's like very clear instructions, yet sometimes it's still the logic doesn't make sense. And yet we've trained people and we have instilled in them that you do exactly what this says without them having the opportunity to question and maybe something doesn't make sense.
Yeah, no, there's all kinds of conditioning going on. I'm going to go to the chat because we got a
Yes,
lot
there's
of
like so much going on over there.
yes, yes, yes. So Bruce says expectation synopsis. Jen, this is how my brain works. Jess, I'm rocking the fishnets, baby. Yeah, boy. So if any of y'all that came in late, I am wearing the fishnet hoodie. I know that was just a request for me to like really let y'all know how I'm rolling over here in Hawaii today. Um, and Yesenia agrees.
I
Thank you,
think
girl.
she was agreeing to something else, but we'll go with that. You're like picking and choosing now. I'm not sure I like that.
Oh, I love it. But
I think there was
George,
another
actually,
comment in there somewhere.
on a serious note, George, like bringing some truth out here. So I feel like we also have this mindset trained into us that if we go above and beyond, we get ahead professionally. This doesn't help the expectations I put on myself because you feel like I need to do just a little bit more than what was asked. It's not sustainable when you get multiple responsibilities.
It's not sustainable. That's like the key of that whole thing.
Yes.
Yes,
Well,
George.
oh, there you are. If you aren't clear on exactly what you're asking for, you can't be upset when you don't get exactly what you want. Yes. Yes. Oh, there we go. They're coming in now. Yesenia says, agreed, George. Sometimes we assume they know what we mean as if they can read our minds. And if we don't provide clear direction, we won't get clear results. So, oh, that's awesome. So you're saying, yeah. So then that's kind of like, how do we figure that out? So I just did a workshop, sweat equity improvement,
Yes.
and it was 3 days. It was awesome. Of course, it was awesome. Like in my head, it was I'm having fun the whole time. And but I have to. There's got to be a way to verify. Did my instruction provide value? Did it land? Like how do you? Oh, lights out. How do you? How do you know? Um, without me operating on my assumptions that I've actually been delivering the value and transferring knowledge. Well, one way is there's a report out built into the exercise at the end, and getting to listen to the language that they use, the way they describe the experience, and what their takeaways were, what their thinking was. On one hand, shows me exactly what they retained, and it also shows me what I failed to communicate. And so, I know it's kind of a little bit of a reach, but when people aren't meeting my expectations, and this is a recommendation to the tribe out there, when people aren't meeting my expectations, I really have to question of how explicit I was about my expectation and operating with the benefit, giving the benefit of the doubt in terms of if this is they're delivering, they want to deliver, they want to, fulfill the request, and they're delivering exactly what they understood. They're delivering to the degree of their understanding. And I was the one responsible for establishing what they understood. So who really has the problem? Where is the break in the system?
Jesse, I mean, you're speaking to and I'm sure the tribe is listening to what you're saying, and like in their mind they probably have a story or a conversation, because I know I've had them where I'm having this conversation and the whole time, whether it's with a superior or with somebody that had an expectation of you, and the whole time that they're going, you didn't do this, why? I mean, they're questioning these things, and I'm going, I like none of that was communicated. And yet I walked away from that conversation like I failed. I didn't do what I was supposed to do, and so my mental health and everything that came from that, it was completely derailed because of a conversation where I even knew that was not communicated to me. And so like we've got to be aware of those things when we're having, I mean, how many people, the response is a hard hat being thrown across the trailer, and it still was not something that was communicated, yet your reaction is crap. I didn't do my job.
Yeah, we internalize it. So I've got a story that I'm going to share because I think it's going to help. But there's some more comments I got to bring up. So Bradley says, absolutely, trying to eliminate the coulda, woulda, shoulda aspect is the communication loop. In the communication loop is key. Allowing openness for questioning. The question impacts the flow of execution. Gangster.
Yeah.
And so you talked about, right, the conditioning. Does my behavior signal to people that it's okay to ask a question, to get clarification, right? Like if it doesn't, and I'm frustrated, maybe like Maria Martin says, it's what I failed to communicate, right? Like there's a whole lot of ownership. If y'all haven't figured this out, most of these conversations are about us internally adjusting the way we operate to, there you go, be real, not perfect. Thank you, Maria, for that one. Pete says you have to think how you would want to be asked, right? Like how do you communicate? And he says when you ask someone, put yourself in their shoes and ask if they know what you mean, right? Like I use a lot of references. Like
I like
have a
that.
yeah, like we gotta get clear. Like what does that mean to you? What is what I just said? How do you reconcile that in your head? It's an extra question, 2 or 3 minutes.
But on the flip
No,
side, what you're really good at is when I go, does that make sense? You're like, not really. Like the flip side is we've got to also be honest instead of just taking something and going. If we're not clear, we don't understand, we need to like be able to say, no, can you help me with that? Or help, or I'm not sure. Because then it makes us, we're like, oh, then I look stupid, or I don't, I look like I wasn't paying attention, instead of like, if they're not being clear, sometimes they need your help to help them.
yes, yeah, and so, but that's it again. It's a dance, right? Like both
Yes.
people have to be in tune with each other and like really want to make this happen. Because
Yes.
part of the responsibility, if I'm the learner, the one that's being made the receiver of the request, part of my responsibility to say, bro, like I don't know what the hell you're talking about. Like, what does that
You do
mean?
that with Adam all the time.
Yeah, right. Like we just got to do that because the other person clearly believes they are a master communicator and you got to let them know that they're not, right? I mean, we all have that thing. Now back to conditions, that's not the most comfortable thing, right? Because like George's comment earlier, like go the extra mile, be a team player, like all this crap that's in my head tells me, oh, don't ask. No, I need to ask. Like that doesn't mean I'm horrible. That means I want to make sure I fulfill your request like perfectly or to the greatest degree possible.
You said you had an example though, right? You're
Yeah,
going to
yeah,
tell
I'm
us.
going there.
Okay.
And so Yesenia says, and those what ifs take so much of your energy. Well, what if?
Yes.
What if? Oh, just like my plan. So again, Yesenia, I know you got my back, girl, because we were talking on prep before we got going about the degree of planning that I do,
You got to tell a
which has
story.
which says no what ifs in it, but that's fans only content. Um, so the story, you talked a little bit at the beginning about how the self-imposed expectations cause you to work more time and rob you of energy and joy, etc. And so I want to give people some context, and so that if you're early on the path or if you recognize this behavior in other people, I'm just proof that there is hope. um, I got a therapist, I think it's about 3 years now. And it was two things I wanted to work on. I wanted to figure out if like I was a bad guy because I didn't want to be in a romantic relationship. So that was one. Two, I wanted to figure out how to not spend every second of my day thinking, obsessing about my job. And so, we started having our conversations. And one of the first questions that I remember like her asking that hurt, like it stung a little bit. She's like, okay, Jess, like you're doing all these things. Like, she's trying to figure out, is my company horrible? Is my boss a jerk? Or is it me? So we vetted out the companies were awesome. We vetted out my bosses were awesome. So that just left me. Because she's like, okay, so all these things that you're spending all this extra time on, is that in your job description? I'm like, oh no. It's like, okay, did anybody ask for them? Like, oh no. It's like, so then who decided to do them? Like, oh well, I did. It's like, okay, like you realize that you don't have to do them. And I'm like, no, but I have to do that. Right? Like I got to go the extra mile. So that started kind of peeling the onion, and I'm like, what? She's crazy. I need a new damn therapist. She don't know what she's talking about. She did, and I'm still with her. She's amazing. Anyways, we start talking about vacation and taking time off, and I'm like, yeah, no, I don't have time for that. And she said, Jesse, do you really think that the company is not going to function if you take a day off? Do you really think you're that important? And I was like, yeah. And but like the question was like, but I'm really not, right? Like a lot of people have left, people call in, people take time off. The company just keeps going. This is an ego thing. So it was entirely this ego thing I had around, if I don't show up, if I don't do all these extra things, like nothing's going to be okay. People are going to suffer. Like I just, delusions of grandeur, right? I had this thing that I was not aware of until she asked me that question. And then I really had to start looking at like, this is all me. And I think so. I'm sharing this because I want the tribe to like introspect. And there's a reflection journal out there that might help you with the introspection.
Yes.
But I want the tribe to introspect and really evaluate these self-imposed expectations. Who's asking for them? Like, I got a little banner here. Is whose checklist are you trying to fulfill? Because for me, what I discovered was it was my checklist that I was blaming on other people. Like I blamed, like it was everybody else that wanted this extreme, all the things. Nobody was asking for it. It was all me. And because it was all me, I could back off. Now, this was a time where I had to like block out time to eat breakfast, to eat lunch, to leave the office, to eat dinner, because I wouldn't do that. Like I was totally obsessed with work. Um, and one of the first steps I did to get there, right, to start breaking away from my self-imposed expectations. Again, my therapist says, okay, very specific. I don't even remember which project it was. She's like, okay, Jess, you've mentioned this thing, you've been talking about it. She's like, what do you want it to look like? And I said, oh, like, right, like a million things. And she says, okay, awesome. What do you think people are going to love? And I was like, oh man, like if I just did this, this, and this, like they'll be happy. And she's okay, do that. I said, what? She's like, yeah, just do that. Then turn it in and see what happens. And I'm like I'm this that. Right, like the Wi-Fi in my brain froze. And I did that. I just did. I said, okay, this is a challenge. I'm going to follow her direction to prove her wrong. Guess what? She was 100% right, because I just did those little things and I turned it in or presented it to everybody. And they're like, oh my God, that's amazing. And here's like the magical part. It left space for them to add their idea and their energy to it. Whereas if it was done Jesse style, there wasn't room for nobody's stuff.
Right.
It's my precious.
Yeah.
That's
No,
the story,
so amazing, because my brain went do that, and then I'll go to what you just triggered in my head. Go.
No, go ahead.
Yeah, so I want to read Bradley's dude. That's powerful. I went through the same epiphany. It does still suck sometimes. So 2 cheat codes that it plays right into what you just said. When you're in the middle of something, to ask yourself 2 questions: who is this for, and what was the ask? And a couple things that does. One, it kind of helps you reset. Who is it for? Because for me, I work, for a general contractor. So a lot of our project teams are my customers. And a lot of the things that I'm doing are trying to help their jobs be better and help us to continue to get better. And if it's for them, then are they engaged? Are they involved? Or am I sitting in my little silo over here solving all the world's problems and they are not engaged in it? So number one, it's who is this for? And sometimes it's just for me. And I'm like, wait a minute. If this is just for me to be able to put on a report and have some pretty visuals and stuff, okay, that's the first layer of, I'm not quite in the right place. And then what was the ask? And it could have been somebody requested something or something that I took it and I'm like, let's go down this rabbit hole. Let's do all these things. Okay, what was the ask? And those 2 things can reset where you are, what you're doing, but it also can let you create that space of who needs to be engaged. So for me, it allows me to go, here's my very first thoughts. Let me send that out to a group of people that are going to use it, and let me get that feedback to be able to go, okay, now we need more people. Now, okay, I think this is hitting the ask. They're simple questions, but when you get in the middle of something and you're drowning and you're just like, I'm working 50 hours a week and all these things, who is it for and what was the ask? Those are huge.
Yes, yes. And another thing to think about, if I'm my customer, we got a problem.
Yes.
Right? Like if I'm working on something to deliver to somebody else and I'm the customer, the only customer voice that I'm taking into account, we got a problem. Like Yesenia says, who is this first and what was the ask?
Who is
Very
this
simple.
for? What was the ask?
Yes.
Yes.
Look at that. Bradley says, yes, ma'am, precisely. It goes back the communication loop. So establishing those communication loops, which requires some vulnerability, because
Yes.
you're going to have to demonstrate, I don't exactly know what you're saying. This is my understanding of what you just said. And I'll use that language, especially with like our calls, Jen, you and Adam, like, okay, this is what I understood. And usually like, no, oh, okay, good. Like, so what are you saying? And aim, oh, here we go. Justin says, sometimes our own self-imposed expectations can get in the way of understanding what someone else's expectations are. When one's expectations don't align with the other, where do you go from there? Ooh, Jen. Come on, girl. Come on. Let's see what you got.
Well, I love the question, Justin, but I think that's when, how much emotional intelligence do you have? How much ego do you have? How much, when you're in those conversations and you see there's misalignment, is it because you came in, and we've talked about this with different, whether it's meetings or things within our space, do you already come in with the answers? Do you already come into the conversation knowing the agenda, knowing what you're going to talk about, and maybe you'll give some space for people to talk, but none of that's going to feed into the outcomes? And that is not the space we're trying to create. But if that is what you're doing, then you're going to do exactly what Justin just said. You're going to, like, it doesn't matter. There's going to be no opportunity for alignment, or even, hey, let's take a step back and let's look at this and make sure we're aligned and moving in the same direction, if you don't even allow space for that. So part of it is how we show up. And if you show up and that is what you are receiving, like, I hate to say this, but like, don't keep going when you know the environment's not there. Like, whether it's create a different environment, put yourself in a different place, have a different conversation that then, somebody else can come in and you can present it differently. But I don't beat your head against the wall because you're right.
Oh, girl. Yeah. And Andrew says, Andrew, is this your first time chatting? We got to get a blue heart in
Blue heart. I don't think Andrew's been on before. So yes, Andrew, if it's your first time, put a blue heart in there so people can love on you and connect with you. So go.
Yeah. So that way I could stalk you too with all my Grinch videos. First, I got to say, DJ Hootie Hoots is killing it with the comments.
Good.
Thank you,
Yes.
Adam, like perfectly timed. So a couple things back to Justin's comment, right? Or the question, like, where do you go from there? Well, maybe more than a couple. There's a few things. Uncommunicated expectations and unsecured commitments, right? Like, have I communicated the expectation? If they're missing it, I think the answer is no. If they're not delivering on it, did I secure a commitment? If they're not, the answer is probably no. So now there's some refining, especially when like first contact, we haven't worked together. You don't know how crazy I am. They don't know. Yeah. All that stuff.
Yeah.
Like there's going to be some massaging so that we understand how we communicate. But after, like, especially people that have worked it for a long time, if they're missing the mark and we're getting frustrated, we're like misaligned, and I'm using the word should, like, it's this easy for me. When I start integrating the word should into my vocabulary, that is an indicator for me to say, wait a minute. If I'm saying they should have known, they should have done this, it should have been in my inbox, that's a clear indicator of an uncommunicated expectation or an unsecured commitment. So that's one. Now, the other thing that I think is super, super important, back to Justin's comment, is when I'm making a request or communicating my expectations, there's a space. There needs to be a space for negotiation. And so in the negotiation, one of the answers can B, no. Right? Like, and maybe that's a whole other topic. One of the responses can be no, like, no, I'm not going to do that. No, I can't do that by Friday. No, I don't know what the hell you're trying to ask for. I know I don't understand the intent, so that we can get clear on what the deal is. And I think, I know for me, that's one of the things that I miss a bunch is the me using that word and say, no, I can't, like, no, I can't do that. My response typically, back to George's comment, because I want to go the extra mile. It's like, I'll figure it out. I'll work it in, which then starts robbing the other people in my life of what belongs to them because I'm giving it to somebody else. And so the alignment, um, Maria says, don't should on yourself. No, she didn't say that. She said, don't should yourself. That's why I'm wearing the fishnets, right? Free of all shoulds today. Um, oh, look at that. And so Thomas asked the question is to Jennifer Lacey, says, does alignment equal agreement or is it acceptance?
Oh, okay, I got a story for that.
Come on.
So amazing question, Thomas. And so it's a great segue into for inside the firm that I work for, Robinson Morton, we do alignment meetings up front. And a key takeaway in those alignment meetings with all the team is the conditions of satisfaction. And when we're trying to figure out, what do those look like at the beginning of a job, the question that I ask is, what does success look like? And it hones in because my expectation of what the design team needs, the team's expectation of what the client needs, like there's a lot of assumptions based on previous experience. We've worked with them before, constraints we've had. We already know, like, here's the plan. But when you break it down to what does success look like for each person in the room, all of a sudden the conversation changes from shoulda, woulda, you all this stuff. It's, if you do this, if this happens, then this will be a success. And at that point, you can ask clarifying questions. You can get clear on, are we all on the same page? Are we all moving in the same direction? And do we all have the same goals to get to the end? And it's a simple question. What does success look like? But when you ask somebody that, it forces them to have to articulate what their expectations are.
Mm-hmm. Gangsta. So, Thomas, you got to let us know, did that hit or not? I feel like it did. So Justin says, no is tough sometimes because saying no can not only disappoint the customer, but can also make you feel like you're falling short of your own expectations. Thank you, Justin. And that's it, right? Like, if it's this cycle that keeps bringing us back. We've talked about ego and so the experiment, right? Maybe this is a little bit of a challenge. It's a challenge that helped me see, like, oh, okay, like it doesn't have to be that big. Test with this little idea, the little project that you're working on, whoever it is, the tribe members out there. You have this big grand vision and how perfect and beautiful and all the whiz-bangy whistles, bells and whistles it needs to have. Just pick 3 of them and put it out there and see how people respond. Like, that was for me the breakthrough of, like, oh, I would have been chewing on that thing for 9 more days. And like the important takeaway is like, oh, I was able to serve to a brand new degree in a shorter time frame. I was able to provide value, serve a human being sooner than I normally would have, because I was better about managing my self-imposed expectation. So technically, I was in the way of me achieving my outcome of introducing people to the promise they're intended to be. My expectations around all the little minutia was in my way of doing what I'm here to do.
Jesse, yes. I have come to the same realization that sometimes when I bring people in, all of a sudden they take some ownership, or they are in a better place to do something, and then it frees up my space to better support.
Yes. Well, and
Yes.
so I'm gonna bring up some different kind of comments up here because I
Okay.
think it's important. We're not trying um, to say don't do it, right?
Yeah.
There is value, but what we're saying is let's make it healthy, right? There's some ways
Have
to make it
checkpoints.
a healthy,
Right.
some checkpoint. Thank
Yeah.
you.
Have some checkpoints
Uh,
put in place, like intentional checkpoints.
yes. And so Maria says, okay, but my favorite item from this year was Jen collabing to create a playbook page for the software. It wasn't requested, but it's one of the most amazing things that she's seen.
No, so she was in I brought her into a class that we were having, and she had hand drawn kind of a flow chart with all the different softwares that we use within Robbins and Morton, and it was drawing, and this is how this connects to this, and this is how that connects. And again, it answered the mail. It did. It did everything she needed. But again, I thought, well, how can I make it better? It wasn't an ask, but based on very small effort, I was able to visualize that and make it very clean, give it back to her so she can reuse it, because she has a lot of training she does without me. And then now it's going to be part of our playbook. And it was, again, it was next level, but it was small effort. It was very small effort. So thank you, Maria.
Yes. And so I want to, of course, like the highlight of today is the fishnets.
Dana, you don't instigate.
Yeah, fishnets are making her do it. And Amy, so Miss Amy Campbell says on Thursday she oversaw the execution of the annual Jingle Jam for the project. It was 150 plus attendees. Last year was the event of Magical Legends, and they had lots of new people to the team who had been hearing about Jingle Jam. Um, and that led to this year's self-imposed expectations that it had to be perfect. This year it felt so good to have a dedicated team to help me pull it together and to be able to respond to some of the last minute questions with use your best judgment.
Oh,
Let's pivot and not do X. And when items were out of stock for certain things, just let it go.
oh, those are like next level, Amy.
Ooh, thank you, Jamie. And that's it, right? So we do something. I think we actually experienced this, Jen. We went from 5S, we started No BS with Jen and Jess. And one of our episodes, one of the very early ones, you remember that?
Oh my gosh. Yes, it was like, here's our topic, and here's our plan, and here's the topic, here's the things we need to talk about, and make sure that you're going to talk about this and I'm going to talk about this, and here's the checkpoints. And we did our first, again, please, if you want to go back, because there's proof, there's video proof, our very first No BS launch video of us, and it was like we got done and we're like, oh, that was like the most horrible thing ever. It was like robotic and checking boxes, and we got to give our customers everything they need because, oh my gosh, what if this doesn't work? And it was like horrible. And it, like, there's proof, because it was like this. If you listen to us now, listen to us then, you're gonna be like, who are these people? And we got done and we're like, okay, we got to throw some crap out. We got to get this. We got to do something different.
Oh my god! And here we roll with it, deal with it. So, point is, like Amy, you brought that memory back because the 5S love letters. I'm sorry, the 5S in relationships live streams were like super awesome, and it's like, oh, we gotta make it better. We gotta. No, we don't. Like, nobody asked for all of that garbage. We were the ones that do it. And so Amy goes on to
very much
tell
self-imposed.
everyone had a great time, another memorable event, and no one cared that there were no balloons. Yep. That we didn't actually do the ugly sweater contest winner reveal. Yeah. Or that the superlative awards were not issued. Could send out voting winner links next week. Instead, we focus on engagement, interaction, enjoyment, and having fun with each other. Beautiful, Amy. Thank you for that.
Yes.
So I think I saw a question here that somebody wanted to ask you.
Why are you only pulling up my questions? I'm sure they have some for you.
No, it's the fishnet. It's the fish. It's working. Amy says, Jen, my expectations for myself far exceed the expectations from others. I think the origin of that is the desire to understand every aspect. How do you shift the feeling inside to feel comfortable?
So I'm just going to speak from experience that there was not a here's what you have to do. It was Jesse pushing me over the cliff and going, it just like do it. And if it's uncomfortable and you're not okay, I'm here. And so for me, it's being surrounded by people that you trust and that have your back. And so when you're in that very uncomfortable or trying to get comfortable place, being open to the new opportunities and to things that are unknown, and then being willing to jump and and just jump into it and see how it feels. And if not, having the people around you that can go, hey, I got you. No worries. We're going to get through this together. That was what did it for me, because I was a little bit janky and scared and not wanting to do it. And maybe Jesse pushed me over, but I knew he was there, and I knew Adam was there, and I knew Buddy was there. I knew the people around me were going to make sure that I was going to be okay.
Yeah, it'll be all. And here's the thing about when you take the dive or take the leap, it only hurts when you land. So if you're gonna take a dive, like this is what I did. I'm gonna take a dive and I'm gonna go to the highest possible point, craziest, wildest thing, and I'm gonna jump off of that because I'm gonna have fun all the way down.
Or you can just fly and then you're just good.
Done. And so Andrew bringing it back, he says,
He does have a blue heart. He dropped one. So go love on Andrew. Please, please, please. Yes.
Yes. Don't let perfect get in the way of good, especially to get the ball rolling for feedback. Gangsta.
Yes.
Straight up. Like that is expert level input there.
Yes. We got so many good comments.
Yeah, we got a lot of stuff. So we got 9 minutes.
Okay.
I posted the link to the after party in the Facebook and the YouTube and the LinkedIn. I posted it on LinkedIn, like in a bunch of places. It's on my profile. I think it's on your profile. There it is right now on the screen. Jump in the after party. We can all hear each other's voice. I want to get to hear other people talk. And then George says, I think the Grinch must have stolen all those books and the luggage. You know what? Just don't tell anybody. But the Grinch and I are meeting up here on Waikiki Beach in about an hour. So I may get my luggage back. I'll send you some selfies, George.
And if you have not gone onto Jesse's page and looked at all the Grinch videos, they are amazing. So you have to go watch the Grinch videos because I think there's more coming.
Yes. Oh, yeah, definitely. Pete says having people in your corner gives you more confidence because they will help you. That's it. I think Adam sent me a link. It was I think it was Hollywood, not Hollywood, Primetime. About if you're gonna be the best, your team's got to be the best, right? If you want to be the best, you surround yourself with amazing people. So 100% surround yourself with super people. Brad adds, yes, you are a product of your environment, and we can design that environment.
Yes.
So another tough question, Justin, always bringing it.
This y'all, for you. It's implied, but this one's for you.
If y'all are going to be on the after party, just be ready because Justin always sets like a freaking serious challenge for us to consider between now and the next time. So Justin says, we talk about roadblocks and constraints all the time, but how often do we consider ourselves and our expectations as the roadblock? Yes. I mean, that's, I joke a lot about me being my favorite subject. Because I kind of am, right? If you want to get me talking, let me talk about myself and I'm going to talk. But I do spend a lot of time thinking about how my behaviors, how my thinking contributes to my discontent, right? Like most of the time, it's because of me. There are times when it's other people or other things that happen, but I'm usually the roadblock. My expectations of myself is usually what gets in the damn way and makes things really funky. I start cutting into sleep. After I cut into sleep, the first thing I'll sacrifice is exercise. The second thing I sacrifice is sleep. The next thing after that is my commitments to not work-related things, which are people, and it all stems from me. 100%, Justin. Thank you for that one.
Well, and I've realized too, when I get in that mode, I say yes to more things that I shouldn't even be saying yes to, because it's like I'm already like feeling like I'm not doing something, and the way for me to make up for that is to take on more things, because then I'm going to offset that. It makes no logical sense, but that's in my mind what I have to like catch myself not to, doing, and go, whoa, 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 whoa. Just because this didn't get done, or just because, you had to remove yourself from here, doesn't mean now you have to go and take on all these other things.
Yes, you will be okay. So
Yes.
Janet says this song, the topic and my fishnets, reminder of the song,
Gosh.
kissing me softly with his song. Ooh, that's what's the name?
Is it
damn,
killing? Is it killing or kissing?
killing me
Yeah.
softly with his song. Yeah, I knew it. Thank you, Janet. Yes,
Gosh.
for sure. You are welcome for the realignment. Jim says he found
Oh no.
Yes, yeah, do it, Jim, do it. He's got his official. Yes, it is the official
It's not.
summer attire. Adam says no.
Thank you, Adam. Adam's got my back.
All right, we got 5 minutes. Ian says, for me, I push myself, and what I've learned about myself is that I have to focus on how to create an environment where people can be the best versions of themselves, rather than meeting my own internal thoughts and expectations. I have found that people not only exceed what I imagine what could be if you provide them that lift.
Oh, I like that.
Mm-hmm.
Sometimes they just need us to get out of their way and to just, let them know that we're there to support them.
Yes. Oh my good. A buddy says I tried to order one. It was an agent to get. Oh, that is such good stuff. Oh my goodness. All right, so we got 4 minutes, Miss Jen.
Yes.
Got to remind everybody we're gonna have the after party here. I will be walking the beach while we're on the after party.
Nice.
So y'all know. If you want to know what I'm wearing, I'll send you a link.
We're good. We got just enough.
While I'm walking on the beach. Something to keep in mind, Amy says the best teachers are the best listeners. And there's that whole listening thing, that's a big, gigantic topic all in itself. Takes reps, it takes practice.
And when we're speaking, we're just so you know, when you're speaking, you're not listening. Let's just be clear.
100%. Someone post another link in the chat. Oh, we got the selfie. Yes. Freaking Adam knocked it out. So y'all, if y'all don't know who that is Carol and
Steve.
The chief marketeer, Steve Martin, having a no BS breakfast, watching us, I'm sure, as we're going on. This is amazing.
Awesome.
Thank y'all. That is so cool. I'm gonna leave a link in the chat. So if you want to not if you want to, you need to click on the link and go and download your free reflection, reflection guide. It's a little sample of what's in the reflection journal. You can sign in, put your email address, download the bad boy. It'll get you running for a week, and let us know what you think, because the person that designed the layout and like all this stuff, like it was so hard to acquire their services, and it was celebrity level type person, and they'd really like to know what you think about that. Jen, you got any closing thoughts for today?
Closing thoughts is, again, based on all of our conversations today. When you're in the middle of something, and whether your stress level's going up or you're a little bit frustrated, ask yourself those 2 questions. Who is this for? What was the ask? And those, to me, just stop, take a moment, answer those questions, and then reset yourself based on the responses.
Beautiful. And also, we are going to be having the last No BS with Jen and Jess live stream the morning of Christmas Eve.
Yes.
All right. So we will be having it that Saturday.
Yes.
14 days away. So if you're available to jump in, please do. I'm sure the topic will reveal itself between now and then.
Yes.
So
if it hasn't already during this call.
Yeah, exactly. So I think I need to change, and I got to head down to the beach, and at 9:20 we'll kick off the after party.
Sounds like a plan. Thank y'all so much.
Yes, it was awesome. Later. We got